You have questions, we have answers. This is Jane Muller.
And this is Ken Muller. Welcome to our show, all about real estate with Ken and Jane. Today, Jane, marks the Chinese New Year. So happy Chinese New Year to all our
The rabbit
listeners.
year start this year, and happy Chinese New Year.
Now,
How do you say that in Chinese?
I'm not going to attempt it. I'm a little bit rusty. I've been practicing, but I don't think I can quite get it right. 恭喜快乐?
No, 新年快乐 means Happy New Year. But you know how much Chinese people like the prosperity. So we say 恭喜发财.
Yeah.
That means congratulations, you make a lot of money.
And you're the lady in red
That's right.
this morning for the Sunday.
For the Chinese New Year, you have to wear red. That's
Right. And what is-
happiness.
Okay, red symbolizes happiness, prosperity, I guess.
That's right.
Good luck.
Yes.
And
Good luck, yes.
Good health, right? All the good things for the new year.
I think giving after the COVID, last 3 years,
Yeah.
I think number one thing is truly the health. Without health, we have nothing. The health is number one thing,
Right.
and inner peace, I would say, would be the second.
Right. And now that everyone hopefully has their good health, now we can talk about the economic side of things. Because
That's right.
once you have your health and you're healthy enough to work, you want to have prosperity.
That's right.
And with us today, we have Rob Zuckerman. He's the economic business development officer for East Brunswick Township. And we're going to talk about the commercial and business growth, the post-COVID era that East Brunswick has experienced. So, Rob, we want to give you a warm welcome to our show.
Thank you. Good morning and happy Chinese New Year.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Excited
you.
to be here.
Thank you. We're excited to have you. So briefly, give us an overview of what your job entails with East Brunswick Township.
So at the heart of it, I'm a resource support system for local businesses. So, what that really means is that I think the mayor and administration had a vision to be open and accessible to residents and businesses. And I am that piece for that. So part of it's a liaison to the township, whether it's the libraries or, to the park or just the planning department and building department or just to the mayor's office or even vice versa as well. And every piece in between there. Part of it's a liaison to the chamber and other community groups, whether that's bringing businesses to community groups, businesses to the chamber to those entities, whichever which way. It's just some kind of conduit between those businesses that are coming, trying to attract new businesses, businesses that are currently have a footprint in East Brunswick that are just looking to expand. There's been quite a few of those even recently, which is really fantastic to see. Another aspect is trying to connect businesses to the state and the county and the federal and even nonprofits. The small business development. Trying to remember what the C stands for, the last letter, and the SBDC. Which has an office here in Rutgers, which can help small businesses find some of the resources that they need as well. So a lot of bigger businesses they have some of those resources already, but a lot of smaller businesses may not. And it doesn't mean that the bigger businesses don't connect as well. I mean, FedEx needed help when it comes to the state. Sometimes you just need to find that right person at DOT or DEP or DCA. I was helping someone recently with the fabric on some kind of product that they needed to be able to get through to open, that they needed to connect with DCA and to try to move that forward. And sometimes there's a lot of layers to any of those kind of those organizations, those departments. So kind of help try to move that along a little bit.
Right. So you really sounds like you're really an advocate for the for businesses and the community. You're like the eyes and the ears. You look out for them. If they have any questions or issues of any type, you can reach out and try to get them the assistance they need.
I have to say, right, since the township recent years have this position, right, is I think maybe 6-7 years now, right? I think it's make a huge difference from the resident and the business owner point of view. Because before, if you bring the business to East Brunswick and the permit, everything, you play a major role. You are truly, angel to a lot of business, right? The owners, and any problem, because they good what they do, they know their business, but navigating the department, the government body, and the township is so different, right? So they may have 3-4 locations, but each town is different. Each state is different. Sure. But you were the person really work so hard, and I see you everywhere, holding everyone's hand and always have time for everybody, help them to go through the process. Truly, I have nothing but a great thing to say. And not only me, and I heard from the business owners, from the residents, it's really great job. We thank you from bottom of our heart as a resident.
Absolutely.
Well,
yes.
I appreciate that. And, I like that, being an advocate for the businesses. I do see myself that way in part. I also, though, and maybe this just comes from, working in the state legislature and doing a lot of constituent work, I appreciate just the residents in public itself and like to be related to business and advocate for them as well. There's a lot of components to it, right? Folks want to see, and this only goes so far, but folks want to see certain types of businesses. They want to support, be able to have access to make sure they support the businesses that they want to see too. They want to be involved in some of those things with the shaping of the town too, right? Mm-hmm. Right. For instance, another thing, that is my role is some programming, right? We did we have a business. Ken, you're on the Business and Economic Growth Advisory Commission.
Yes, we have a meeting coming up, and I've got to get back to you which date is which
yes,
date I want to go. Absolutely.
and it's we're trying to find ourselves with that for last year. It was kind of like a reimagining of a group of a public community group that was helping to advise some of the stuff when it came to the redevelopment in the past. And now we want to kind of expand it to be something that talks about East Brunswick as a whole and kind of shaping East Brunswick in the eyes of our residents, right? Well, whoever they be, whether they be people who do commercial real estate, or they're just residents who are actively involved, or ones with sport, in sport, whatever it is. We want to make sure that it's a cross section of the town in a lot of ways, informing those kind of things, and the sister city relationships that we had, which is not just business to business, but it's also people to people, whether it's the schools or just communities groups trying to learn things, or and this was before my time, but I know with the group, the sister city with China, right? My understanding, that was a huge benefit during COVID. There was an ability to be able to get PPE that wouldn't otherwise been able to get for some of our service workers, right? Yes. So that's something that I think is within my role, but goes a little more than business, but it's also community too. Restaurant Week, was about the businesses, but it was also
fantastic. The Restaurant Week, we love it.
I love it, and my goal for that wasn't so much just to advocate for the restaurants themselves, which it is. I'd like to make sure that they get the business during that time. Right. But I kind of want to. We have so many good restaurants, and they're like diverse, not just in cultural, but just diverse altogether. And there's a lot of good food, and people don't realize that.
Look at here. I know.
Now you're talking about it during the Chinese New Year. That's when they're going to get a lot of Chinese business during the restaurant.
Well, that's great. Yeah, I hope they come out. But New Brunswick's on our corner, and they have some great restaurants. And sometimes people forget East Brunswick does. So I'd like to remind folks and put together a group of the restaurants and constantly be able to do some kind of marketing for that to make sure people remember that we have those options here in East Brunswick. It's a great reason to live here. It's a great reason to open a business here because they are just right around the corner.
Right. And we happen to be the center point of the state of New Jersey.
That's right.
As determined. So you can go to the shore, you can go to New York, you can go to Philadelphia, you can get anywhere you need to be in a relatively quick time period. So it is a great location.
It's so good to hear, right? East Brunswick is the center of New Jersey, not only Central Jersey, but New Jersey. That's great.
It's true. We stood there in the middle of Riders and Milltown Road. Officially declaring that the center of New Jersey, thanks to NOAA and the Secretary of State and the U.S. Census and everything, they affirmed that is the population center of New Jersey, which is really, we already knew we're the center of New Jersey.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Right.
Yeah, that's really great.
That's right.
That's our listener is pretty much in Central Jersey. That's all great.
That's right. Yeah. Let's talk about the challenges that were faced during the COVID era and how the businesses in East Brunswick have gotten through that, and are you seeing an upward trend now that we're hopefully coming out of the COVID era?
So I started in June of 21.
Okay,
so a little after the main, I think the bulk of it, however you want to term it, and since it's been fairly steady, the business openings, it really has, and right from the get-go for me, we're very fortunate about that to welcome so many new businesses to town, and it's just as important, which we were talking about before, to businesses that have been growing into new spaces. So interestingly enough, it hasn't just been bringing new businesses, but businesses have been thriving. I mean, there's many businesses that have opened new spaces since then. I don't think we've obviously it was very hard for a lot of businesses, and there was a lot of resources, whether it be from the county or the state, that were provided to help through. And some businesses had more trouble than others, but altogether it's been pretty steady, and it's exciting to see. Again, not to repeat myself, like the businesses expand too out of that.
I think the township took a very proactive action during the COVID. I remember that time when the restaurant had to be shut. I think the council passed a resolution for East Brunswick. The owner can open outdoor. Yeah. So that was pretty fast.
And the landlords were receptive to that in a lot of the strip malls. We know a few restaurants that didn't have much outdoor space, but the landlords worked with them and allowed them to have 4 or 5 tables outside, so there could be outdoor dining as an option, as well as, of course, the takeout. And I think the takeout was also very a powerful supporter in the town.
To the restaurant, helping them during that.
So the residents really came through and helped the restaurants, the small businesses to make it through that very challenging period.
It's true.
And I have to say the township did a great job, because normally it would take much longer to pass something new, but immediately you guys get together and helping and get through helping the small business, especially the restaurant owner. During the COVID, they still have to pay the high rent, regardless the restaurant open or not. So that was a great help to keep them alive, keep them going. So that was really appreciated by a lot of small business owners.
All right, all good stuff.
I agree.
Great. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back after these messages. Okay, welcome back to our show. Today we're joined by with Rob Zuckerman. He's the Economic Development Officer for East Brunswick Township, and I want to share with our listeners his contact information. If any business has a question or needs his assistance, and they have to be in East Brunswick, correct, Rob? It's for primarily East Brunswick?
Or want to come to East Brunswick.
Or want to come to East Brunswick, which is a great location because it is the center of New Jersey. You can contact Rob. The office phone number is 732-390-6814. Again, 732-390-6814. Or you can certainly email him at rzuckerman@eastbrunswick.org. Again, that's rzuckerman@eastbrunswick.org. Okay, Rob, you gave us a lot of good insight into what you do and how you really work hard on behalf of businesses to help them if they need assistance with the government or untangling the web of the DCA and other agencies and getting them, whatever assistance they're looking for. Let's talk about, since we're talking about businesses and why East Brunswick, what makes East Brunswick an attractive location for a business to open or even expand if they already have a business in another town? What would make them want to consider East Brunswick as a possible location?
Well, I think like what you said before, right off the bat, it is the center of New Jersey. So as far as accessibility, it's that, right? I mean, the highways are right here. Route 18's just continue to be a staple. You have Turnpike, the Parkway. You have other major towns just around. And then as we're talking about, Chinese New Year, I mean, the diversity in East Brunswick is wonderful, right? And the region around it is an incredibly diverse region too. So, it's funny. I mean, I know a lot of folks when they talk to me about businesses, they or what they want to see in town. They often think about East Brunswick centric as its own entity and its own island of a place, right? And what they want to see in East Brunswick. And I obviously operate in kind of like that because I'd like to see them physically in East Brunswick, but really for a business, right? Sure. I mean, the region is incredibly important too because people aren't just coming from the town in which you are, physically located in. People are coming from the next town over and 2 towns over as well. So there's it's important to have a region that's really supportive of those businesses too. And I think this really is the case here, and that's case in point also when it comes to like Cranberry Road, right? That's a medical row, medical mile. I think we started talking about last year.
You can find all the great doctors in that. Right?
And what kind of bolsters that a bit is that we have 2 hospital systems right outside, right next to us, that are just right here that are willing to work with those doctors and also just with the town. So I mean that's another great benefit both for residents but also for the businesses that are here. My office, the mayor and the administration's dedication to being supportive of businesses is absolutely something. I mean, I appreciate it. I work hard, and I try to do that. But, I mean, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for their interest in having this role be supportive to businesses.
And I have to say, with the Mayor Cohen, he's almost at every chamber meeting for businesses. He makes it a priority to go, and you're there as well, likewise. So I mean, we get so the chamber gets a tremendous amount of support from the township. I have to say, second to none.
I have to say, for any township, right, in a way, the business. It seems to me is the backbone of each town community. If you have a very strong business community, very strong chamber, and the town economically is very thriving, it's really good for the rateable, for the income for the township, and so the township can provide additional service, to the resident. For example, right, before I was a realtor, I thought I live in East Brunswick for a long time. I think the trash included in the tax provided by the township is given. I thought, they should, I mean, what do you mean? When you sell a house in other township, sometimes you have to advise your buyer and that they have to select their own, service. The tax is not included. So in our East Brunswick, I have to say, the tax is including a lot of things. First of all, I mean, based on my memory, it's like 66%, 2/3 is going to school. We have a wonderful school, a lot of program for the children and the clubs and everything. And secondly, we provide so much, the parks, the recreation, and there's a lot of things provide value to our residents. We have a very, very good lifestyle in where we live.
First class parks department, first class library, first class, all those departments. I mean, our planning department, even I know no one, can ever perfectly, because even I live in East Brunswick, but, even just working on the roads. I mean, honestly, I think all across the board, the town does a great job responding to all that stuff, which is great for businesses and residents. And I think one of the questions I think you had earlier, too, with redevelopment.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that next, right?
That plays into that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what's new and exciting that's coming to East Brunswick? Let's talk about the redevelopment that's going on the Route 18 corridor. I know that's not your main oversight, but if you could just talk broadly about the envision, the plan for the redevelopment that's taking place now and in the future years.
Yeah, and I think the redevelopment plays into the what you were just saying with the interest in making sure that it's the backbone of a community in a lot of ways, right? You look at on Route 18 what was there. It's not anymore, thankfully.
It's in transformation.
Was the where the old Gap used to be, which was just a burgeoning center of retail and business for many years, and then as markets changed, it wasn't that anymore, and now that's down recently, and what's going to go there instead is something that I think will be much better for welcoming folks to. I mean that's. The redevelopment area just above Ticest and Route 18, that's an entrance to the town, right? And that doesn't. You talk about ratables. I mean, it provides nothing when it's or next to nothing when it's an abandoned vacant spot, right? Yeah. So now you'll be able to have some kind of tax benefit effectively for the residents,
and also it look much better in the town, right? More it's like when you have a new business in the town and you have a new things happening, that's make the Route 18 look much better rather than just run down the empty mall there. But I'm so happy they're going to be doing the building and the structures.
But also the design is done in a very tasteful manner to make it like a community feel. I think that's what the mayor stressed upon. They're not just building new strip malls. They're building residential combined with commercial to try to give it like a village, a community feel. So people can have restaurants, they can walk and they can park at a location and then have the full township experience within that.
A Main Street kind of downtown kind of way. And I think it will be nice and pretty. I think eventually the discussion was, community space and a hotel space. I know currently for the first phase that was there, you have, the 16,000, the 40,000, square feet of, medical and commercial and retail restaurant space. The restaurant fine dining space would be, I think, welcome. And then who knows what that looks like with the governor's new announcement in his state address about the changing in liquor laws. So we'll see. Maybe that's helpful to, get some other fine dining restaurants there. I don't know what that ends up looking like in the legislature. I think that's all good. And then there's also another 16,000 square foot of retail that's going to go with where the Wonder Bread factory used to be, right? And that also is going to have a little main corridor there, which I know there's been discussion of hoping that a little farmer market or a little something like that too, community kind of things. And that's going to be right on the edge of with the plan for the ice skating rink, which is people talk about a lot. To me, I mean, they love it. They just love that idea. So not in a redevelopment area, but talking about redeveloping and what that brings. If you go a little bit down to, it's called Junction Point, right, where the Kmart used to be. Okay. And now, we were just there celebrating the 45th anniversary of the clothing center, which is just wonderful and amazing.
Yeah, I saw on the post, the clothing center. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's where you get your...
Oh, that's the one in the yes, that's where I wanted a few of my recent jackets.
Look at the beautiful suit that's from there.
Yes, all my clothes are from there. The wardrobe is sponsored by the clothing center. We'll put a little.
They're great.
Except I have to pay for it.
It's not a sponsored by.
I'm not a Fox News big broadcaster like the whoever it was, Tony Romo or Troy Aikman.
You
get their wardrobe or Joe Buck get it sponsored. Not yet.
That's funny. But 45 years here, and they reimagined that shopping center there, right? And now you're looking to get 35,000 square feet of Robert Wood Johnson coming in. The Children's Specialized Hospital's coming in with another 17,000 square feet there too. Same spot, right?
Wow.
Right in there within that thing. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So
that's
great. It is great. It really is. It kind of is a. We have our medical mile, but the whole area is that, and goes with the fact that we have the hospitals right here, and it's just a great environment for all that. They reimagine that space. It, doesn't look like it used to look like, and I think that's all very important and positive stuff, and that's with the support of the town and obviously private entities who have to, who do it, right? Yeah.
They see the future. Sure. They see the community. They see the potential. What going to be in the future? Yeah, I have to totally. Agree back on what Ken said. Right. The township, especially Mayor Cohen and you and the others, the township officials, the council members there, the great support of the chamber. I was the original member from the alliance, the business alliance before, and unfortunately that one just at the end was just didn't work out. And a few years ago, the township helping to set up the chamber. Until now, we had only, I think, maybe 20 to 50, 20 or 50 original members that when we started, and we're grateful. I was one of them. Now we just had our, the monthly meeting that was like, we have a couple of hundred.
I think it's the count was around over 200. I think maybe 230, but it's growing.
It's to grow.
Every monthly meeting they do the intros for the new members, and it seems like it's growing by maybe 5 to 10 per month of new businesses joining, which is fantastic.
There's a lot of good energy in the group too. A lot of people waiting to do the volunteer work, want to give back to the community. That's all the synergy from the members, from the resident, and make the huge difference to East Brunswick or to our great, Central Jersey and a great state. So that's really, wonderful.
It's true. And, I do have to, give a little shout out to our parks in our library too, who work with them, very closely, and they feel comfortable going to them, and vice versa, and it's a real symbiotic relationship, which I think is great because obviously we need the help sometimes, and they do, and it just makes it. It's a good community feel, really.
Absolutely. A lot of time, right, it is the people who make the town, right? Yeah, yes. They say that
both the residents and the officials, so that's credit to the administration and to yourself for putting, giving the A+ effort and results to make the town great.
Yes, absolutely.
So we're just about out of time. Anything else you want to share, Rob, before we have to get off the air?
That I think it was exciting to see the transformation of Route 18 a little bit as markets changed to more of the entertainment kind of thing. I also want to recognize that, I think something we're going to try to do a little bit more. So feel free to let me know if anyone out there knows. Where we just recognized Stefano's for 35 years. But
that's great.
It really is, and Clothing Center for 45, and I think Drama Salon for another 30 or 35 also, and a lot of these businesses that really been around for a long time.
They've been around longer than before you were born, right?
Some of them,
yes.
Me too, right?
So you do the ribbon cuttings, and it's great, but it's nice to be able to.
It's also nice to recognize
them,
those long-term, stable businesses.
Yes.
Anniversaries is especially when you get to 35 and 45 years. That's for a business. That's awesome. All right. Thank you again, Rob, for being on our show today. We're out of time. We'll see everyone next week. Have a great rest of the weekend.
Thank you.